Hey guys, so we're here with the special guest, Callum and UFC. So he's known to be the player that runs Warrior Turbo decks. He also bubbled at UK Nats the past year at Goki. And also back when I used to do rogue analysis of the top ranked players, he was playing Goki and doing really well with it. Obviously, you're also very busy, so you don't have as much time to grind on DB anymore. But anyways,
Yeah.
anything you'd like to say about yourself to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, so basically you pretty much got it nailed on. But obviously I am a player that's sort of like I've been fairly busy recently, so I haven't played much like you said. But hopefully I'm going to be getting back into it a bit more often now. And obviously because I got goals to set out. I got goals to aim for. And yeah, I'm from the UK basically, and I'm a good friend of Enzo, who basically profiled the MathMech list. Now, yeah, I've been playing Goki for like about 2 years straight now, nearly, which is kind of crazy because it's like since COVID. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but yeah.
Yeah.
So it was literally after that, and then I just started beating like the top 200 players on Dueling Book consistently, and I was like, Jesus, am I actually a good player? That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking to myself. And then yeah, I just consistently did it, and Dueling Book basically made me from an average player like who would go like X2 at locals to like a player that actually knew the game rulings, like how to play technical play is like really important for that.
Amazing.
Okay,
So I guess we'll just get straight to the list, and I'll just cover some of the cards, and you can just talk over your ratios. So I
yeah,
guess we'll start with the Goki cards: the three Suprex, three Headbat, the one Iron Claw, I can't even pronounce Octostretch,
Octo. I just call it
Guts,
Octo.
and the two Twist Cobra. Anything you'd like to say? Maybe I think a lot of people, including myself, are not as familiar with Goki cards anymore. It's a few years
Yeah,
outdated at this point. Maybe you want to explain them and the ratios and
yeah,
everything.
yeah. Okay, so basically, I have a testing partner called Doot. Right now, he's from Canada, and the thing was, sort of like we had sort of like the Goki cards all sort of like online, right, laid out essentially, and we went through them all, and we were just like, okay, which ones somewhat like which ones aren't going to see enough play, which ones are going to be like the standard sort of like every single time, and we're just like, okay, Rex was basically the best one without a doubt. This card basically summons a Goku from hand, and then it searches a Goku card that isn't the same name when it sits to the graveyard. The thing is with Rex though, is that it can beat over Dweller for one. So basically, let's say you get Dweller right, and you're just like, okay, well, I don't want to play into a board, so I just break over the Dweller with the Rex, and then basically just keep them on board, just so my opponent has to out them. And then Guts is really good because it protects itself from battle and defense position. So like sometimes I just end with Guts on board with like my end board, and then it's like, okay, well, this is an extra protection for myself. Octo is basically a half damage thing. So like, if you have it in hand, like and you have a board, like you're not losing that game. Like you're really not because like you're not getting FTK'd at all. Because I'd always see people go for access code, blow up my board, and they're like, "This is game," and I was like, "Oh, is it Octo Stretch Effect?" And and then I play Iron Claw, which is like it's sort of like a Kalut, but it's a bit worse in terms of gaining like attack. But then it makes the monster unaffected for the rest of the time for your opponent, which is like really cool actually. But the main reason why I play this is because I can send two equips to the grave, and then if I have Gearfried in hand or have a way to search it, I can basically banish one of the equips that isn't Blade, and then basically summon it, and I have a negate on board, like which is like really crazy because I was actually like the first one to think of this. And Sir Emanon, I don't know if you know him, but he basically shouted me out because obviously I came up with a Reynold Gearfried sort of thing here, and yeah, it was so funny because I was like, oh, I wish Goki could put up a negate before the fifth summon, and I was like, oh, Gearfried, oh, that's the answer. Uh, but yeah, and then I played the one rematch because we play Nightmare Griffin in the actual deck, which basically covers the second rematch, and it's less bricky that way.
Right, right. And so I guess before we move further, maybe like in the current format with Shizu,
Yeah,
what? How are you trying to like adapt to that strategy? And
yeah. Okay, so my answer to that is that you sort of play warrior cards that are going to basically benefit from the mills, and obviously, like the Phantom Knights, the Destiny Hero Malicious, things like that sort of like benefit from it. I know they have the shuffle backs, which is like kind of an issue, but like you play other things like Bell and stuff like that, which sort of deals with it in a way. But obviously, if they don't mill them, then they're basically, stuffed essentially because they can't, like, they have too many things to stop essentially. And then DDR is good as well because obviously, if your opponent banishes, oh wait, don't banish, do they? Oh no, wait. To be fair though, if they go Bestial, they could, what's it called, the DDR becomes really good as well. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I think like the 60 card thing is pretty good against it as well because you put Goku's Engrave, makes rematch better as well.
Yeah, so I guess moving on with the list, which is sorted in a very interesting way, I might add. We have the 3 Neospace connector. We've talked about the Gear Free briefly, as well as the Rhoda, the 1-for-1, and then maybe the Fireflint Lady. Anything you want to talk about those cards in particular?
Yeah, okay. So Fireflint's crazy because, like, when Fireflint actually came out, I actually didn't take much notice of it, but like, I then read the card during COVID, and I was like, "Oh, this card's actually crazy for Warrior decks." And I was like, "Mate, like we can't make Headbat live as much as we want, but we basically have Fireflint Lady that basically is a better Headbat." So that's what I decided to do. I played this. I started playing the Infernoble stuff like Red Layer, Fireflint Lady, Frida Endor, the Reynolds. I didn't play Gear Freed at first, like I said, and then same with Heritage of the Chalice. I didn't play them at first, but then as time went along, I sort of went to them cards, and I was like, okay, well, these cards are actually really, really good. And then the 1-for-1, yeah, is pretty much like a god card, really, because like that accesses your like whole engine without normal summoning. And then Connector was crazy because you'd basically look at the hand as well if you have Dolphin, and then like you can put a Goki Engrave and then make rematch live a lot easier as well. So there's so many little things that actually add up.
Right. No, that's great. And then I guess maybe some of the spells, we have the Heritage, Small World, and also the Red Layer, which we sort of spoke on, as well as the Durandal.
Yeah.
Anything in particular with Small World? I guess you play a lot of hand traps, so you have a lot of bridges.
Yeah. So with Small World, a lot of people were asking me like, "Oh, what are the bridges and stuff?" And I was like, "Well, when you think about it, everything's a bridge because, like, I mean, because I asked my friends, like, oh, is there a way we can search Suprex without using a Goki name on board? Because like, I just want to search it straight away, apart from Rota as well. And I sort of came to the conclusion that Small World was the answer because basically, if we had like something, I don't know, if we had Connector in hand, Effect Veiler in deck, we can then basically banish them two, and then to add Rex because Rex matches up with Veiler because they have 0 defense, and I was like, yeah, this is the way to go. And then Small World basically became like the staple of the deck and the best card of the deck because like Red Layer is a bridge to everything. Because here we go, look. So we go, let's say we add Red Layer with Isolde, we banish it, we banish Ash from deck, and then we add Torn Scale, or we add what's it called, Gear Freed. We add like anything, like if you want, like you can even add Effect Veiler as well off that. So like Small World was really crazy. The only downside to it was going second, sort of like because you're losing a card, it's like you need a card to sort of break the board with Nightmares and stuff. That was the only issue. Other than that, the card was literally perfect.
Right. And then I guess maybe some Phantom Knight cards that we can talk, which is the 3 Torn Scales, the Silent Boots, Ancient Cloak, and then I guess this is not a Phantom Knight card, but Codebreaker 0 Day, and then the 2 Phantom Knight traps and Fogblade, and the Shea Brigadine. We already talked about the rematch, and the Phoenix Blade, of course, is pretty common in any kind of Warrior Turbo decks, as well as the Renaud from as part of the Infernoble strategy, and finally the Aqua Dolphin. So anything you want to talk about the Phantom Knight package, and then also this 0 Day guy?
Okay, yeah, sure. So basically, the thing was, I noticed because before Verti got banned, I didn't play like the PKs really, but like obviously, I basically latched onto them because I realized Torn Scale. Basically, if I open that, I send a Goku from hand. All I have to do now is send like one equipped spell to the grave, summon another Goku from deck, and then there's rematch. So like it was really crazy. And then because it's essentially 1.5 card combo as well. So there's another one. So it basically like it got me really far as well by sending 3 equip spells to the grave. So I was like, well, why not play Torn Scale and then basically make the engine like even more crazy? So basically, what it was, the Infernoble stuff was like the going second stuff. So that was the in engine going second, breakboards, play through like Graveyard Negation, Dimension Shifter, or as I call Dimension Shafter, and then things like that. So like that's what the Infernoble stuff did, and it gave you sort of like a loop with Durandal, because what you could do is you can equip your Durandal to an IP, and then basically if you have Reynaud Engrave, you're like, okay, well IP, tag out, go into Unicorn or Avamax, and then go Durandal effect, target the Reynaud, and then Reynaud effect, add back Durandal, so like you have another follow up, you have another warrior body. And I was like, yo, that's pretty sick. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I have to kind of do this. And yeah, the Phantom Knights are basically like crazy because it basically makes Redoer. It was basically the DPE replacement. That's what Redoer is. And yeah, that's pretty much it with them. The Codebreaker basically, again, it's just that replacement for DPE. So because obviously, again, Verte went, so we had to go for the Codebreakers, and the Codebreakers basically pushed us into like Nightmare Griffin, which was crazy against Sprite and Taylorman, because like, it just answered everything, and then basically got us the second rematch anyway, and a draw card. So Griffin was just free. He just made going first just so much easier. So yeah, that was pretty much it. And then Aquadolphin basically is another reason, send a Goki from hand and then make rematch live even easier. So. And then time rules obviously was a thing, so it helps there. But obviously time rules wasn't, the end of the world sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And I guess finally onto the hand traps. You're playing a lot. 3 Veiler, 3 Ash, 3 Mourner, 3 Ghost Spell, and 3 DD Crow. Any reason for, I guess, potential conflicts with the Bestials that you're not playing?
Yeah. So basically, like, in this current format, the Bestials will conflict with Red Layer. So, like, you can't really play them unless you cut the red layer, and that makes the Infernoble engine a lot worse. So basically, I play Crow, Bell. Now, the reason why I play Bell is, one, because it protects my own engine, it's like from the Bestials. And then it also, like, what's it called, with Small World, it makes the Gokis searchable even more. And then, like, another thing is, with Crow, it's like, again, it makes Small World better. But it does play into Dark Charmer, which I don't like. However, like, if they get to Dark Charmer, then it's sort of like, it's sort of like a losing game anyway, I think, in my opinion. Or like you just put enough, what's it called? You put enough pressure on the board so where like the board that they set up is not that good against you. Or you have going second cards like Book of Eclipse, Dark Ruler, stuff like that. And then basically Imperm, I don't play Imperm because it conflicts with Shea Brigadine. If you play 2 Fogblade instead, then yeah, you play Imperm. But obviously you won't play Redoer at the time. At the minute, though, I am playing Baguska because Baguska basically deals with Flunder, it deals with Sprite to a degree, it deals with Telement to a degree as well. So basically, it covers more matchups. That's the reason why I play Baguska now. But yeah, that's pretty much it with them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, another thing is the Codebreaker, the level 4 makes it whatever it points to, whatever a Link Monster points to it, it basically loses 1,000. So let's say you summon it to an Appaloosa zone, they lose all their negates. Oh, and I can just be over it. So it's pretty good with that interaction there.
Okay. So you mentioned Baguska, but I actually don't see it in this extra deck. So I guess maybe it's something you would consider putting in. So maybe we can just go into the extra deck and then you can talk about it. So we have the 2 Isolde, the Nightmare Griffin, Unicorn, Access Code, and then we have the Codebreaker Virus Swordsman, Virus Berserker, of course Rusty, Draco Master of the Tenyi, Goki Parload Ogre, Appaloosa, Linkuriboh IP, and then Time Thief Redoer. Would Redoer be the Baguska instead?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, sort of like the list I'm sort of like working on is basically playing Baguska 100%. Again, it just deals with all the matchups, especially going first. And then, like, I guess making Zeus is a consideration.
Mm-hmm.
So because it can't be targeted, it'll be destroyed by card effects and attack. So you just go Baguska, attack, and then basically go Zeus, and then wipe everything. However, that's like if you don't play Dweller, then it sort of sucks against tournaments, so that's the issue there.
Right. And would you
Um,
consider playing Dweller then?
yeah, you would. However, it doesn't cover every matchup, so that was the issue with Dweller.
Hmm.
And I only wanted to play one rank four because you'd only get to make one. So
Right. That's fair. I guess Isolde, is it pretty standard to play two?
yeah, because you want one for the combo, and then you want one for the follow up,
Hmm.
and then also if a player decides to stop the first Isolde, then you can make the second one.
Right. And
And then also another thing with Heritage of the Chalice, I might as well bring this up. Basically, if you have an Isolde Engrave, you've gone through both because the opponent stops the first one. You
hmm.
can basically go Heritage of the Chalice if you have it in hand, put an Isolde back to the extra deck, and then you can make a third one.
Hmm.
So it's kind of crazy, yeah. But yeah, Isolde's crazy, man. Like when people were talking about this card getting banned, I was like, yeah, man, like, I can actually see that because it's basically Hulk, but like way better, in my opinion. Yes, you don't have to play equip spells, but like at the end of the day, if you play them equip spells, it's like you draw them and they're good anyway. Like it doesn't actually hurt you in any way. Um, and then obviously Griffin, basically, I said that it sets back the second rematch essentially, so it basically meant we didn't have to play the first. It was mine and Dude's idea actually because we just wanted to make the deck less bricky, and by playing Griffin, it answered again like the meta at the time, obviously Sprite Tournament. Didn't answer Flunder, but we just accepted that we lost to Flunder. Like because Flunder was just unwinnable. Like it didn't matter. So I was just like, yeah, if we play against Flunder, that's all we lose to, and that was what happened basically. Um, and then Unicorn is crazy because if you make Appaloosa with IP and you have like the Griffin underneath the Appaloosa, you just make the Unicorn on top of the Griffin, so they can't use their monster effects, and then basically use the IP in the Appaloosa, like I said, and then basically like you draw two for turn instead of one. So like it's another draw two when you've already drew one the previous turn. So like it's crazy, really. Cerberus basically protects from lightning storm and stuff like that. So like if you go into IP with it, no, sorry, if you go IP into Cerberus, my bad, it's late here. And then like yeah, so like you can just pop things and stuff and draw. Like it's nice. And then like access code has actually changed to Avamax. Because Avamax is like just better against Tournament and Sprite and everything else. Because like nobody's playing Pixies anymore. Because they'd rather play like 2 carrot or 2 red or something. I think it is. So yeah, and then that makes Avamax a lot better. And then access code basically like it doesn't actually do anything against tiers. It actually makes it worse for yourself. So basically, yes, it's easy. It's easier to go to game with access code, but it's like the card's value isn't anywhere near as Avamax. So basically, I cut it. And then the code breakers, yeah, like this, the Link 3 basically pops back rows, like which is why I didn't need to play Phoenix. Nightmare Phoenix and back rows weren't really a big thing, but obviously I'm thinking about Phoenix again. To be fair, the Phantom Knight Link 3 pretty much standard. Don't need to explain that. The Tenyu Link 3 though, I feel like I do need to explain because this card's like kind of crazy. So first of all, if your Isolde gets stopped, so like you have an extender and you can't get to a Link 4, but if you had a Link 3 that pointed down 3 ways, like, and you can get to the code breakers that way, it's hella worth because like you can get into this and then make the code breakers live, and then there's your combo. Yes, it plays into Nibiru, but like Nibiru now isn't popular at all. So like you can get away with it now. Power load is like crazy against Flunder, unless you forget to Veiler the Eagle the one time because I was just too tired that day. I just forgot to Veiler the Eagle because I didn't see my Veiler in hand. And then power load's like crazy because like their only out is Riser with Flunder. Appaloosa is Appaloosa. Linkuriboh is like really cute actually because because when Snow was legal, they'd book you level 1 when you summoned it off Isolde, and then you just go, oh okay, well summon Fireflint, link off into Linkuriboh with the Fireflint, and then send the Isolde with the Linkuriboh to the graveyard by link summon. Let's say you go for a Unicorn or a Tenyu, and then you go Linkuriboh effect, tribute to Set Goki, they're like, "Oh, can you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's cost." And yeah, so it was crazy. Like the card's really, really good, and then it makes one for one better as well. And then there's other things like what's it called? Like let's say you end on a Goki in your turn,
Mhm.
you've already used the level one guts, and then you just summon it back in your opponent's turn, and you trigger it in the draw phase, dodge, draw unlock bird or something. So it's really, really crazy. IP is like really good as well because if you have a Goki on board, like you go IP tag out with the Goki as well, and then draw one and search in the opponent's turn. Yeah, it's crazy. And then Reader was like wild at the time as well because we needed a mine out as well, and that's what Reader did at the time.
Well, now mine's fine, banned, so no need to worry.
Yeah, it is. Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
That's the only good thing about that list. That's the only good thing. But I mean, Dimension Fissure is it, and then Macrocosmos coming back. I hate that. I hate Floodgate. Just go. I think they should just limit every Floodgate, like DB Grinder said.
Right, right. Okay, well, thank you so much for the deck profile and the guide. Any last shoutouts that you want to mention?
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, it's a big shout out to you for obviously having me on your channel. It's very, very, very nice to be here. Secondly, shout out to what's it called, my family, because obviously, without them, I can't do much in life and stuff, I guess. But no, I love my family. And then I'd say Duke Doots obviously is the main one, just for testing and sort of like deck building and stuff, and then obviously the Goki Lab, my Discord. I don't know if you could link my Discord or anything like that in the
Yep,
description, but
yep.
like if you want to join and talk about Goki stuff, just tag me in the Discord and I'll be sure to try and reply back to you as soon as I can, or other people will as well. So yeah, I think that's about it. Oh yeah, also shout out to the Leicester Yu-Gi-Oh player base. Obviously, really nice lads and stuff like that. So yeah, just in general, I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh's a fun game. There you go. That's it. Shout out to Yu-Gi-Oh.
Amazing. So yeah, I'll have those in the description below, and as well as your replay. So thank you again so much for coming onto the channel, and take care, everyone.